All right. Good morning, everyone. My name is Julie Shields. I'm CEO of USASB, the United States Association for Small Business and Entrepreneurship. I'm excited to be coming to you this morning. It's super early for me, but that's okay. That's really cool. I will start sharing my screen here in a moment, but wanted to thank the organizers. I think they've done an incredible job of keeping everybody on point, and I hope you're enjoying the entire conference. Okay, I'm going to share the screen. All right. The topic that I'm excited to talk with you about, and I will tell you that I'm fairly biased in the examples that I give because I'm using only US schools and some of the things that they have been innovating on and trying out. But we are going to be talking about this rescripting of student startup and incubation support in response to COVID-19. So a little bit of context is that many scripts were flipped in the spring of 2020. I actually started at USASB on March 9th, right when all of this was hitting. And to give you a little bit of context, prior to joining USASB, I was a center director, an entrepreneurship center director at a small liberal arts institution called Millikan University. So a lot of my frame of reference comes from the experiences that I've had pulling some of these things together, so I know some of the challenges. But I'm excited to talk about how quickly so many of our peers in the US have been changing over and supporting student incubation and startup experiences, competitions, consultations in a post-COVID world. So I'm going to share a few narratives with you, okay? The one big thing that we have seen, and this is kind of an ongoing theme in all of this, is that there is increased connectivity that's happening among faculty, students, community, and alumni through this nexus of entrepreneurship centers. Entrepreneurship centers and institutes and different programs are uniquely positioned on many college campuses because our networks already flow with this kind of fluid group of individuals. And so as an innovative organization in many cases, it is in a unique situation, and it's very exciting to see just what's happened in the past 6 months. So this increased connectivity is something that we want to put a pin in and not lose track of as the world continues to change. So here's some narratives that we're going to talk about rescripting. This is the fun part, in my opinion, of this keynote is I'm going to talk about some crosstown rivals. I'm going to talk about this mobility and accessibility breakdown, if you will, that has actually improved over the course of COVID-19. We're going to talk about judging the judging and also this co-curricular and curricular silos that have started to break down as well. And then finally, I'm going to talk real quickly about what I like to call the kill switch, or maybe it's the fatal blow, I don't know, one of those two, with regards to competitions. Okay? So the first narrative is this crosstown rivalry. USC, as soon as COVID-19 broke out, they said, look, there is some serious social innovation that has to happen here. Let's have a hackathon called Hack for Hope, where our students can come together and innovate in teams, kind of like a startup weekend, along this topic of alleviating COVID-19 challenges. Okay, so USC started this, and UCLA, a crosstown, their crosstown rival, said, hey, we might like to be involved with that as well. And so they partnered up, and students from both campuses were able to participate in this. At the end of the day, this was a 12-day hackathon, over 600 students, and over 80, I think there were 89 innovations that were presented. Really amazing stuff, and they used all different kind of platforms, and it wasn't necessarily who could use the platforms the best. It was more about competency building within these new virtual platforms when it came along to connectivity. So really exciting stuff. Dr. Lisa Grossman, oh my gosh, I don't even think she slept for those 12 days, but definitely check out the website and reach out to Dr. Grossman if you need. Okay, I want to talk to you about Clarkson. They have a couple of narratives that I want to bring to bear. The first one is about this mobility and accessibility of judges, alumni, donors, getting them more involved with these online, both synchronous and asynchronous competitions. So they have a 10 institution competition it's a regional competition, and they were able to do a couple really cool things, and it was synchronous. And they were able to increase the number of donors, increase the number of family members, increase the number of alumni that were logging in, checking out what was happening, and getting excited for the young people, getting excited for the innovations. So they took this and said, how can we do this regionally and have a success factor? They were able to land a major donor because of this. So all of the hard work, all of the pivots definitely led to some positive financial results for them. The other narrative with Clarkson that I want to talk about, and I think that Georgetown also experienced some of this as well, is really judging the judging, right? Seeing what has worked in the past from judging competitions and what has not. And one of the things that has not is, you know, they're scribbling down notes on a piece of paper in person trying to provide feedback. And in an online capacity, what they were able to do is do, you know, real time, log into your Google form, provide feedback. Not only did it help the operations staff, but it also provided immediate feedback to, and by immediate, I mean when the thing was over, immediate feedback to the participants as well. So really bolstering, again, that learning goal of the competition that sometimes gets lost in the process when you're there in person and emotions are really high. So 2 narratives with Clarkson. The breakdown of curricular and co-curricular silos is really being highlighted this semester at Iona College's Heinz Institute for Entrepreneurship and Innovation. And in talking with Dr. Christoph Winkler, I was really impressed with what they're doing to say, look, our faculty members are stressed about going online, coming up with online content, having to find new things and make the time that they have most meaningful when it comes to entrepreneurship. The other problem they were having is there's not students in our centers, but we've got all of these resources and all of the staff that has the ability to help students. So they are infusing their co-curricular resources into the curricular resources. So helping faculty out by doing workshops. So staff are doing workshops. They're doing student consultations and mentoring. And it's helping both parties stay engaged and keep those relationships growing and building so that students feel like, hey, I've got what I need. I've got more actually than I had before when it comes to connectivity. All right, and then last but certainly not least is the kill switch. So talking with Don Winkle, he said, you know, competitions really haven't worked very much for us in the recent past. It's all about the competition, and there's not much at the end of it all, right? There's certainly some learning that takes place, but the focus seems to be the competition. So what if we kill the competition, and when we go online, make it more about a showcase? Make it about the learning that takes place, increasing the number of networks and making it so that people aren't feeling like they're being judged, but actually they're feeling they're adding to the narrative of each one of these showcases. So I love this concept, and I love how it's no longer about you know, who's winning, how much money is being given out, but it's more about what learning is taking place and what relationships are being developed. Very fantastic. So these are these rescripted narratives, right? Let your guard down. Include the less obvious judges or alumni or family members. Improve your process. Break down barriers that previously existed, and probably for good reason, but then also let go of the things that don't work and move on. I think there's a few things that still need to be rescripted, and I would love to hear your thoughts on this afterwards or in the future. Is creativity able to increase in the virtual sphere, right? So how is this happening either in the competitive sphere or in the classroom, in this virtual classroom? So how can we measure if creativity is increasing in the virtual sphere? Is startup activity actually increasing because of all this? I think that would be a fascinating story. And in what cases is it, and in what cases is it not? And then how do we can maintain that increased connectivity between those 4 or more partners, right? Whether it's faculty, students, community, and alumni and donors. How do we maintain that increased connectivity using the technology and the lessons that we've learned throughout the past 6 months, which hopefully won't go too much longer? And then finally, what is that bumpy transition going to look like? We can't go all the way back, but what does forward look like? What things do we bring forward from the past so that we can have the best impact and results? So these are a few things to still be rescripted, and you might be working on some of these things. And I would be remiss if I did not put some kind of shameless plug in there for USASB's flagship journal called Entrepreneurship, Education, and Pedagogy. This is where we have leading edge research on entrepreneurship education, teaching innovations, teaching cases, all kinds of things for not just the researcher, but also the educator and the practitioner. So if you've got something that you want to publish or looking to publish, think about EE&P, but vice versa, this is a great resource that you can go to tag some of these case studies, different kind of teaching innovations, etc. All right, that's all I've got for right now, but I will be here for the Q&A. I look forward very much to talking with you further and hope you enjoy the rest of your day.